Hey guys, it's Brendan from Modern to Me, and today we're going to be expanding on if statements. So far we have our basic if statement, and we learned there are 6 different kinds of operators that you can use to compare values. There's less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, and not equal to. Oh, that's a mouthful. And then we also learned that there are ways to extend these, where you can type and then have another test, or you can type or and have another test. So that's always useful. But there is a couple other things that we can do. So I'm going to be building off of this code from the coding challenge. So if you don't have this code, just pause the video real quick and type this up to get all caught up, and then we are going to get started. So at the end of the solution video for the coding challenge, I said it would kind of be nice to have something to account for if it's not less than 7 characters, to have something that would kind of print out if it's not. So what you do is you type else. So what this does is it goes into this if statement, and it says if the month is less than 7, if the month length is less than 7, then it's going to print this out. If not, else, like otherwise, else, it's going to do what's in here. So if you have an if statement followed by this else statement, only one of these blocks of code is going to execute. Either between, if this if statement is true, this will execute, and it's going to skip this else, or if this if statement is determined to be false, it's not going to execute what's in here like we saw, and it will execute what is in this else. So this is the perfect example to simulate this, because if the month length is less than 7, then it's going to print out short month A, and if it's greater than 7, or greater than or equal to 7, it's going to print out what we tell it to, or do what we tell it to. It can do more than just print stuff out, but just working with that for now. So we are going to type out got a long month. I don't know, something like that. Whatever you want, really. Just different than the first one. Okay, perfect. So if we run this program, and if we type April, like we did in the first tutorial, we'll still get short month A. And if we run this again, and if we type February, saying it like it's spelled, if you type February and hit enter, you're going to see that it says the got a long month. So you can see that this is working exactly as we intended it to. So that's perfect. This is so useful in case you are trying to test 2 different things. This is the perfect way to get one result, and then if not, you can get the other result. So that is super, super handy. Okay. So there is also another way you can expand on this. Beyond else statements, there are these things called else if statements. So you can make these if statements have even more options. I know, it's crazy. It's awesome. So let's expand on this a little more. So let's go, if month.length is less than or equal to 5, I believe that 4. Let's go 4. 4 is the shortest month, I believe. Actually, there's 3. May is 3 letters long, but let's just go 4. 4 is good. Okay, and that's going to print out short month A. And then let's delete this, because we're going to add more to it. And now let's say we want to test months in between that are 5 and 6 characters, and then 7 characters and above again. So what you can do is you can still have all 3 options be able to be tested. So you have if, and then if it executes this if, it's just going to be done. It'll stop, because then it's going to see this else, and it's not going to want to execute it. But what you can do is you can type else if again, and then you can have your second choice. So you can type else if month.length is greater than 5, and month.length is this actually needs to be greater than 4, so we can get 5. And then month.length is less than 7. So what this is going to do is it's going to run if the month is less than 4, less than or equal to 4. If that's true, it's going to run this, and it's just going to cut. It's not going to run this code, because this else is still there. If this was just another if statement, we just took off this if and went here, it's still going to test for this code. It would come out to be false because if this was true, this would come out to be false. So it's easier and just better to make it be else if, because then it's not going to even try to test for this altogether, and you're going to save runtime. That's going to be a more efficient program. So that's a lot better to do this else if statement. Okay, and now in here we can type system.out.println. We're going to type out you're in the middle. Okay, and then you can do another else if statement, and you could say month.length, it would be greater than or equal to, oops, that's not greater than or equal to 7, and then you could type that out. But since this is our last option, this is totally valid code, but since this is our last option, we know that the month is going to be greater than or equal to 7. We know it has to be if both of these have failed. If it goes through this test and it's not true, it's going to jump to this one, and it goes through this and it's not true, it's going to jump to this one. So we already know that it's greater than or equal to 7, so we're just going to do else. So you can kind of have these combinations of all these if statements and else if statements and else statements, but in general, know that the if statement's always going to come first, all the if statements. Then there's going to be an else if statement if you have one, and then the else would come last. So once you have this like else statement, it's done, and if you can't really have another else statement, that's not going to make sense. You need another if statement before you could have another else statement. So just kind of understand that this is the hierarchy of if-then statements. It goes if, then else, Okay, enough rambling. We can finish off our program here. System.out.println, and we're going to go you are so far last. You are so, how about you are so deep in last. I like that. Shame them for being born in a month that has more letters than others. Okay. That looks good. I like it. Let's run it. Okay. Enter the month in which you were born. If we go, let's just go May. Short month A. Perfect. Enter the month in which you were born. If we go, how about, I've done April a lot, so we'll go March. You're in the middle. Add one last time. You're so deep in last. Do we have it? Yes, we do. Perfect. So this is really getting into a great programming techniques, great strategies to help be able to test your code and have it be interactive. So cases you might need these if else statements in games, definitely for when you are doing physics in games. If you're designing your own physics engine and you want to see if something's collided and you need to know where it collided, you're going to test this part, and then if that's not true, you're going to test else if that's not true, you're going to test another part, and then if that's not true, you'd probably have another else if statement, and if that's not true, you'd probably have another else if statement, and then if none of those are true, you might finish it off with one last else statement. So you might have chains of fairly long if else statements. You might have up to like 3 else if statements, maybe even more, before you have your last else statement, if you so choose to have one. This else is not by any means necessary, but in general, a lot of times you might need it if you're using else if statements anyways. Okay, this tutorial's been long enough. I think that's good. Now, next tutorial, we're going to do a little bit more with if statements before we learn something new. So I'll see you guys there.